Ready to go get something to eat?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Let's eat! Hi, welcome to Hunt and Gather with the Chatters. Today we're going to be making wild game summer sausage. Today we're going to be making it with Javelina, but any wild game will work. And I'm going to walk you through the process. It's only about 7 steps. And once you get your meat into a cube form, we're ready to start that step process. The first step is to grind it.
Okay, so we got our meat ground. This was a Javelina. We got about 16 pounds of meat here, but we're only going to use 9 pounds of that to make summer sausage today. So we're going to stuff 3 sticks that are 3 pounds each, so 9 pounds total. Then we have pork fat here that we've already ground, and we're going to do a ratio today of 10% pork fat to our meat. But when you do summer sausage, you can do anywhere from 10 to 40% fat. I would say most of the time you buy summer sausage in the store, it's 30 to 40% fat. The reason we're doing 10 is because it's still pretty flavorful, but yeah, it's a lot healthier. We have a cookbook out, and you can find this on Amazon, Hunt and Gather with the Chatters cookbook. But it actually does have a summer sausage recipe in here. But to be honest, something that works good, and actually what we're going to do today, is you can get these kits, and they come with the seasoning, the cure, and the casings, enough to do 15 pounds. A lot of times you can find these pretty cheap, like $7. So that's what we're going to use today. But if you want to do it homemade, we do have a recipe in the book. And then when you go to cook it, you have 2 options. You can cook it in a smoker to give that nice smoky flavor. We have a lot of snow out on the ground right now. It's not convenient to get to our smoker. So the other thing you can do is you can just add liquid smoke to your mix, and then you can cook it in your oven, and it actually tastes really good. So that's what we're going to do today.
Alright, we are now to the next step, which is mixing. Something that I like to do is I like to mix my seasonings with my fat in order to fully mix in the seasonings, and then at that point I mix in the fat with the meat. What that allows me to do is get a really good blend of all of the flavors. Now, something I want you to keep in mind is I'm only doing my seasonings. I'm not doing the cure. And the reason why I'm not going to do the cure is the cure has a kind of a shelf life, if you will, of how long you have to work with it. So as soon as I add this cure to the meat's going to start getting thicker and a little bit hard. And so I want to make sure that I add this at the very end so that I can stuff my sausage, get the shapes that I want, have it easy to work with, and not run out of time. In the meantime, I'm soaking my sausage casings because I want to make sure that those are ready to go as well. But my first step is mix the seasonings with the fat. The second step is to mix the fat with the meat. Then I'm going to add the cure to all of the meat, and then we'll stuff them. So let's go ahead and do that. Now there's something to consider. The cure is not essential to cooking and making the summer sausage. But what it is essential for is getting that texture, almost like a gelatinous texture of meat, and it kind of improves your slicing ability. Although with any homemade wild game products, unless you've got just a ton of extensive equipment, you're not going to get that fine grain that you see with Hillshire Farms and that sort of summer sausage. But that cure really does make it so that your meat sticks together, gives you a better solid structure, and allows you a better cut when you are slicing it. So it's up to you on how you want the presentation to be, but it's not a requirement for making summer sausage, but it definitely makes it closer to store-bought or traditional summer sausage. All right, we got it all mixed. We are ready to stuff. All right, we are on to the next step. We're going to stuff it. Get it nice and tight. So we've already pre-loaded the sleeves onto a tube that we filled with meat, and now Aaron's gonna push the meat into the casing, and I'm gonna just make sure that I'm getting a nice pack. See how it started to balloon out? That was perfect. Keep going. I'm applying quite a bit of pressure. You want your meat as tight as you can get it because it is gonna shrivel up as it dries.
Yeah, and you want to try to get all the air pockets out of the meat, so I kind of take this and pack it down a little.
What's nice about these casings is they're not gonna rip, so hold that casing taut while somebody else loads the meat in it. Okay. And this is probably going to be our last push because we do need to allow ourselves some room to tie off the casing. I'm just really letting you pack it in there. Alright, I'm feeling good about that. I'm going to pull it off. How's that for you? Is that enough room to work with?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to tie our butcher string on there. Okay, then we'll just stuff our other two casings. Okay, so we got our 3 sticks stuffed. They're nice and tied off good. And it came out perfect. We mixed 9 pounds of meat and it was 3 3-pound sticks. So if you look at them, they couldn't be any fuller. And so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna give that cure time to really set up the meat. And the way we do that is we're just going to cover this with saran wrap and we're going to put it in the fridge for 24 hours and then we'll cook it tomorrow. Alright, so the sausages have been marinating in the fridge, or setting up rather, for 24 hours. So now I'm just going to put them in the oven at 325 Fahrenheit for about 2.5 hours, but I'll rotate them every 45 minutes. And then towards the end, I'll check them and make sure that internal temperature gets to be 160 degrees. And so here we go. Something I forgot to mention is I also put a loaf pan, bread loaf pan with about half full of water there on the side. And that just keeps it nice and humid in the oven. Wouldn't be the end of the world if you didn't do that, but it's better if you do. Okay, so it's been about 2.5 hours, and you can see our temperature is 170. So we are all good, because that's the center of the center stick. And I've been rotating them out and whatnot, but anyhow, they're all done. So we're just going to turn off the oven, let them cool down, and then ultimately what we'll do is we're going to cut our sticks into thirds, wrap them in saran wrap, and then put them in Ziploc bags before we freeze them. And that way they stay good for years.
And we also have a portion that's a nice portion for sharing at parties, and you know, we get to enjoy it a little bit longer because we don't have as big of pieces.
Yeah, because once you thaw them out of the fridge, you want to refrigerate it in between eating it, and you want to maybe not have it in the fridge more than a week and a half after you thaw it. So, anyways, that's it. Okay, so we got it all done. We cut it into thirds, but before we freeze it, we just had to take a little taste of it. So here we go. I love it, especially when it's still just a little bit warm.
The blend is amazing. I'm really happy with that product.
Is it better than the last blend?
I think it might be, but it also has been a while since we've had Javelina or summer sausage. It's been a while since we've had summer sausage in general, but maybe. You gonna try it?
Yeah. I think it's awesome. What I like about it is it's not as salty as the last one. And I always felt like the last one was like almost too salty. And I really like this one.
Well,
So I
and
think I like it better.
it's your mom's pig, so
Yeah.
that makes it better as well.
So sometimes we'll add like chopped jalapenos or cheese inside of it. This time it was just straight, but it's good no matter what you put in there. Anyways, hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you next time when we go get something to eat.